Hello, hello. Howdy, folks. Howard here and Paul.
How's it?
Bass student, has played a little bit of bass, but wants to learn how to play bass from a beginner standpoint. So, what we're going to do, if you've got your bass at home and you want to play along too, make sure you're not too loud. You might get a little feedback from what we're doing. Can I get your lowest note? Cool. And keep going. It's just for us to hear it right now.
Okay.
It's going to go through quite well on here. I just want to make sure I'm not peeking out. Looking good. Cool. So what we do is take that pick and you're going to put it down, because until we're learning some Chris Squire or some Yeti Lee or something, we're going to just stay with our fingers.
All right.
I had always played with the pick, which kind of deterred me from like ever learning finger style. And it took me about 2.5 years to actually put everything together so I could actually play the rhythms that I wanted to hear. And what I want to do is be able to show you the practice of practicing. So for those out there, if you want to know what the practicing of practicing is, there's 2 ways to get good, or at least have a comprehension of what's going on the bass. One is to just play it and make noise and get something out of it. When we play guitar, a lot of us will play those power chords when we're playing them. And what we can do is we can explain what a power chord is, a 5 chord, and how to omit that third. What we're going to do today is we're going to just talk about fingers. On our hand, we've got 2 thumbs and fingers. So this is our 1 finger. It's the leader of the group. So can you take that first finger and put it on your lowest string, the E string? Wonderful. And then we can either play it flat, right? Or we could play it pointy. Can you play it flat too? Now, for those of you at home, he's doing it as well. You want to make sure you play in the middle. You never really want to play on the fretting, because that'll tend to like give you a weird in-between kind of tone. You really want to be right in the middle of your fret. So the idea of this is you can play all these flat. Let me get the bass to show what it looks like. But you get a lot more action when you're playing with your pinkies and the tippy tops of your fingers. So what we're going to do, this first exercise is called a spider exercise. You're going to use your 1 finger on your first fret and play it. Wonderful. And then you're going to use your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret whilst keeping that first finger on the first fret. Wonderful. And then 3rd finger, and here's where that first finger is going to come off just a little bit, because what we don't want is for our thumb to be going all the way up this way. What we want is for our thumb to kind of just be like, boop, pointing straight up on the back of this headstock. Now this fretboard going up towards the headstock, what you don't want to do is wrap your finger around, unless you know you got great hands and you want to thump some bass later, but that's the technique that comes out way later. These are called spider exercises. And what happens is it gives you rhythm with your first finger, the leader on your plucking hand, and the first finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger, and 4th finger. The weakest finger of all these is going to be the pinky, and then the 3rd finger. The 2nd player is going to be this one. And then, of course, the first finger does almost everything we do in life, so it's the strongest. Our goal is to play 1 note, 2 note, 3 notes, and about this, start picking up, and then the 4th note.
Got it.
Can you do that with me one time? Shoots. 1, 2, ready, go. Wonderful. We're going to add a concept right now called a quarter note. Now, a quarter note is exactly what we did. So when we play this note, it's going to be worth 1 beat. When we play a whole note is worth 4 beats. And then, believe it or not, in between there's a half beat, which is worth 2 beats. Half beat looks exactly like a quarter, except it doesn't have the fill-in on the inside. Cool?
Got it.
Here's what a whole note looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, get it?
Got it.
4. And then after we get done with that, half of that is a half note. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it together.
Yeah,
Want to? Cool. 1, 2, just the whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, choice now. Do you want to go up to the next string?
Let's go to the next.
Cool.
String.
Let's keep going. So you will see how these become spider exercises.
All whole notes.
All whole notes. Ready? Right from the beginning. Let's go back to that lowest E string. 1, 2, whole notes, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. First finger on the plucking hand, too. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3. Now here, don't stop. Go back to the beginning. Ready? All the way to the low note. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now we're going to keep going, but this time we're not going to go with the whole notes. We're going to go with half notes. All right. So they're just going to be half of this duration. Starting now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right?
Yeah.
It's tedious. Your hand should start hurting right about here, right? Now this next time we're going to do all quarters, meaning one finger, one fret. Let's push ourselves to do one more. Ready? I feel like Richard Simmons. All right, everybody. Let's get through it. Sorry. And we're going to end on this last note. Wonderful. Now, right now, it should feel hurt right here, just a little bit. You'll have a little tension.
A little tight.
And a little tight right here.
Yeah.
Cool. Deep breaths. And here's the concept. We're going to take a look at our plucking hand now. We know what we're supposed to do for our spider exercises on our strumming hand. On our plucking hand, a lot of us get a little lost on what to do with our hand because there's just so much here. I've got a 5-string. Don't get weirded out by this. There's 2 different schools of thought. If you play a P bass or one of those old Fenders that are really thick, they don't really have the curves. They have a pretty defined. So a lot of people keep their hand or their thumb up there. Other people will put their thumb on the pickup and then they'll play from here. And then a lot of people will just have it floating above. The third way, I believe, is the best because you're actually not doing anything to the body of the instrument. And you actually can maneuver around and make different sounds by putting that application on. So what I'd like to talk about is when you're doing your Spidey exercises, try and play the first one, right? Oh, it finally died. How cute. Play the first one. Can you play? Cool. And then see how you're above right here? Take that thumb off the back of there and let it float and act like you're holding a tennis ball or a ping pong ball, depending. You got it right there. And then as soon as you get done with that first line, put that thumb on that string.
Silence it.
You got it. So the technique you're learning is called a mute. It's really going to help out when you're doing like chord structures. If you've got you're trying to play something and want to mute one of those absolute notes. So can you do me a favor just for this? Can you turn your body just a little bit? Wonderful. And see how that thumb there, folks, is above the, can you show what it was looking like? It was up on top of the bass. Nothing wrong with that. It's a very comfortable. I call it the Humpty Dumpty. But what happens is you will fall off that wall and it's going to make rhythm very hard. So how we avoid that? just take it and control the level at which you're going to sit at. Meaning, when you're playing that first boom, 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 when you go to that second line, the A string, and you do the same thing, put that thumb on the string you were just playing, and then you utilize that first finger from your plucking hand. You got it. Look how that changes the amount of space between your hand and the string opposed to this.
Right.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like you're just way more in control? Wonderful. Can you keep going? Can you do a spider exercise for me? Check it out. Instead of playing that with that thumb, let's use that thumb. Cool. Now, see, check it out. That's the one thing that we want to make sure that we don't do, which is awesome that you did it because I didn't want to have to reference it. But what we just saw was when you take your thumb away from its comfortable position, it has a tendency to get in the way. So what we do is we just become very, very aware of it. If we're playing and you see me shoot your fingers, don't get upset. It just means that you're experiencing the wrong thing, and you should try
Focus
it a
on
different
the
way.
finger.
Shoots. So if I was going to be doing with it, we'd be doing this. We'd have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. We're going to stop the hanging thumb and put it on the E, right? And then play the first note. And then it's just like our hand is hanging out. Our thumb is just hanging out on that note. Now, when we move up to the next string, we bring it down to the next string and we mute it. So what happens, you get used to having just a certain amount of distance between these two strings, and it turns out to be your advantage because when you're going fast, if you don't want that string to be hit and open up a note that shouldn't be in whatever your improvisation is, you have the choice of muting it. You can use these to your advantage by doing these things where your fingers are just so close together.
Right.
So those are called spider exercises. The purposes of those are to go slow and do that rhythm exercise. And then what I do every morning, I just use them as a warm-up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 3 quadrants until you get to 12. Meaning 1, 2, 3 covers all your minor seconds. A minor second is a half step, and your spider exercises are minor seconds. So check us out. Do, re, mi, or 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. If you're thinking about it this way, you're just doing minor seconds. Well, when we do that to here, we get an octave. A, E, 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 E at the 12th fret. Meaning 13 is 1. For sure. And open is 12. Just like the guitar, okay? All right. Cool. So you can play an E major up here. Cool. So the idea of that is when we're playing on the fretboard, note recognition is awesome, but it doesn't come. There are a couple things that we could do to ground ourselves as bassists. As a bassist, the 1 and the 5 are your best friend. So if we were going to play our first finger on that note, cool. Nice. Now, in music, there is no H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If I have an E here, I go a half step to an F. E to F, E to C are the only 2 half steps that come as a result of there not being a black key on the piano. So if you were to play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you keep going, you do that whole thing without playing one black key on the piano. In every scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, there are 2 half steps for a major. The first one happens on the 3rd to the 4th, and the next one happens from the 7th to the octave or the 8th. So when we see these, if we were to discuss just a little bit piece of here, which is fun, I draw it like this because it makes a little more sense to me. Where are we down there? The 1, the 4, and the 5 are going to be major. the 2, the 3, and the 6 are going to be minors. And then the 7th is something called a diminished, which is super awesome, and we'll talk about that way later. Has its own thing.
How does that relate to the frets?
It relates to this. Every single one of these notes, when you put them as a single note, is a frequency, right? So this note is this. It has a peak and it has a trough. For you at home, it has a trough and a peak. So the frequency goes till it dissipates and decays, which means you won't hear it anymore. It just goes off to the ether. If there wasn't physical material around here, that frequency would go forever. It's just hitting all this other nonsense, which is lessening it. So what happens is when we have these notes, we have one single note, which does like a, and then when we add a note to it, it becomes a harmony. So a single note plus another note is a harmony, and 3 notes is called a triad. Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
And here's another name. A triad is called a chord. Music speak. Do. Now check it out. I just aforementioned there are no sharps and no flats in the key of C. All that means is when you say C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you don't have to say sharp or flat. They're all natural notes. And I know that seems weird, but there's only really types of 3 notes. There's a C, so C. There's a C flat. And then C has a C sharp. But sometimes we don't call C flat. We call it B. And here's why. This is whoop over the head, but all notes have 2 names.
Okay.
Yeah, it's enharmonic. So here's the idea. Remember how I said there's a lot to learn in fretboard recognition and names on this thing? Here's the idea. If we just learn the 1 and the 5 in every key, we're golden as bass players. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about the key of F right here. And if we put our first finger down on that first fret.
Okay. And since you're on a 5-string bass.
Yeah, I'm playing on the
E. Your low string is actually lower than the E.
It is.
Okay.
This one is a C.
Okay.
And I can tune it down to a B, but it's just too much randoms.
Okay.
So ignore this. But as far as our first finger here, we're going to be playing that F. And here's the takeaway I wanted to get to. On the first fret, if we have an F here, that means that if we go up and over a major second and put our third finger or our pinky, whatever feels good for you, right here, we will have our 1, our 5, and then our 1. Right in the middle. Beautiful.
Yeah, 1, 3.
So not 3, 1, 5.
1, 5.
Right. And here's why. In the key of F, I've got F, G, A, B flat, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything that we are going to learn in the next few months, and pretty much all of us for the rest of our lives, when we start off talking about music, the easiest way to explain notes and how they work is to talk about in the key of C major. Because we're not going to have any pesky sharps or flats. It's all going to be the same vernacular, if you were. So the reason why I'm talking about F, G, A, B flat. F has 1 flat. It's B flat, meaning I can't say F, G, A, B, because B already has a name, right?
Right.
But B flat also has a name. They're not the same. So you have to learn which one's in the key. But here's the thing. Music is hitting the wrong notes over and over and over and over again until you hit the right ones. And having somebody that can help guide your hand through it is awesome, which is why I suggest anybody at home do these lessons, then go get a teacher. 1, it employs somebody, and 2, it's lots of fun. You learn a whole. And for those at home, you're not supposed to grasp this on the first time. It's not supposed to go, oh, I got this. And it takes a little minute, but these are the rudiments, okay? So what we do when we have these spider exercises, the reason why we do these is they give us muscle memory, and it teaches us where to put our thumb and then how to use our finger and just do 1 pluck. So the 1 or 2 things that we do is we learn chords, which kind of go behind them, in scales. On a bass, a lot of people don't teach chord structure, which is why I'd like to teach chord structure. Cool?
Didn't know it existed.
Awesome. So when we're going to play in a chord, remember how we were playing an F right here?
Yes.
That 5th that you hit in the key of F is a C. F, G, A, B, C. If we just simply count the alphabet, F to G, G to A to B, B to C. 5 fingers away, 5 notes away. If you switch that sucker up and you put your first finger on that C note now, wonderful. And then take this idea. Whenever you have a fret and you skip a finger, you can put that same finger up here. Cool, man. So you would have that C note with your first finger. Wonderful. You skip this whole fret, and then you would play that note. Right here. No, I'm sorry. I was just muting it. This one. Cool. Now play that note and that note.
Too.
I know, right? You're doing great. There it is. Now check it. Now that you know where they are, you avoid this low note like the plague, right? Shoots. Now check it out. First finger on that C. Hold it there like we're doing spider exercises, right? And then start the spider exercise right from there.
Then down to here. Or just keep going.
Just keep going, and we're going to find ourselves up there. What we're explaining right now is that we're going through every single note.
Up the top.
No, just right above where you were. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And then stop right there. Cool. Now, groovy. That's your high C and that's your low C. Now pluck them both together. Yes. You feel the power. Now take that finger and throw it on your fifth. Ooh, hold on. Keep that one there, yeah? And then play that one on there. There you go. And keep that one on the one.
Yeah.
Oh, do me a favor. Take a deep breath. And if I ever go like that towards your elbow and go, bark, 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 just means shake it out, funky chicken.
Okay.
The idea, watch what happens. When we concentrate, we tend to dig our elbow into our crotch, in our stomach, blow all the air out of our head. So it makes it hard to think. And then we're looking over the top of this. When you're at home, look into a mirror. It takes that whole thing out of the equation. Dig it?
Good idea.
Nice. So here's what this is going to lead to. Being able to take your thumb, because it's on that string, yeah, and then your middle finger, which is already kind of there, you see, yeah, and I think you got your third, but it's all the same difference, and pluck those together. Now you got your 1-5, which is awesome, but try and get your 1-5. Yeah, sure. You're going to be doing it in both fashions. You're going to be covering both of those with one finger sometimes. You're going to be covering those with 2 fingers. You're going to be covering with that. It'll be anything you want to do, but the basis of the rudiment of this is knowing that this is a C and that this is a C. So does this concept make sense? If you go from C to C, C sharp to C sharp, D to D.
Yes.
Cool. So we just learned. I mean, that right there, if you out of context, here's what it is. Because what we do is we put rhythm behind notes. So when we learn both at the same time, and it's a little like, eventually you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. I get that. Can you play just those 2 octaves right there? Mm-hmm. And then can you do me a favor? Give me the octave note, the C and the C. Mm-hmm. Let's take these 2 out of the equation completely.
Which 2?
The middle 2. Yeah, you just want a 1 finger on the C. Yeah. And then the pinky root. Yeah. Groovy. Now take that, slide it up a whole step. Yes. Wonderful. And remember, don't fluctuate. Yeah. And now try both of them.
Both fingers?
Nah, get rid of that finger completely. You've got strong fingers. Put that one there and take a deep breath. How's that feel?
Good.
Cool. A lot of people play these different ways. What we're working on here is like a chord structure. So if you can play this, you'll be able to go. be able to fluctuate between different notes that you know are within the schedule. Scale. Ooh, yeah, flat 7. All right, or flat 5. So check this out. What we do is we do the next little thing. So this is going to be very interesting. And this is probably what we're going to be stopping on because we've got 5 minutes left. What we learned was a spider exercise, right?
Right.
And we start with the whole notes. 1, 2, 3. They should be boring, super boring. Then the half notes are better because it becomes a little bit interesting.
1, 2.
You got it. 2, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then you just, yeah. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Wonderful way to move your thumb, too, folks. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Wonderful. So the idea is after you go through the half notes, then you do your quarters all the way up. And on each one of these, when you get to the top, you want to go back down. Now, this isn't a race to get all the way through this. It's quite literally to just bore yourself to death on the first ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. And here's why. Next week, when we get back and we're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do all those quarter notes with 2 fingers. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, 2, 3, 4. It will be boring as all get out. But when you turn that into this, you now have mobility to start walking the bass. And if you'd like to see, I don't know if that was over there on there, but it has like this pluck, 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 pluck. Look how my fingers look like they're just walking up and down the bass. When we go slow enough, we incorporate all those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because in some styles, you'll be doing like a. Notice how I play with my first finger down here, and my first finger here. Play with my second finger here, and second finger here, third finger here, and my thumb is muting that note right above it just so I don't hit it. And what I used was exactly what I showed you. The 2 C's. Wonderful. And I go from the 4. Yeah, just drop my finger right above to where I was. So here's our C major. And take this finger and flatten it. Noise. And just walk that 4, 5, 6. And since this will make super sense to you, it's weird right now to do these half-step fingers, but after a week of doing spider exercises, just going like that, you'll be like, oh, got that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. So inside of what you're going to be accomplishing this week, you're going to be doing lesson number 1, spider exercises. For those of you at home that want to go along with this as well, we just explained them, but here they are again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. You do that on every string all the way up to this 4th fret, and you keep going. You do that over and over and over. Then when you're very, very comfortable with that, after checking that you're putting your thumb on each additional string and basically Humpty Dumptying it all the way there, sitting on a platform, then you go to half notes as he's doing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You don't have to go that fast. It should be like 1, 2, 1, 2. And inevitably, we're going to go to quarters where there's a pluck with the first finger only this week on each individual note, all the way up to the top, and then you keep going. Repeat that over and over again. The second exercise is called a teeter-totter. You're going to be taking a chord, the C major chord. A C major chord is a first finger on the A string at the 3rd fret. It's going to be the 5th fret. You can do it either way. My friend here, Paul's doing it with 1 finger, which is awesome. Or you could play that octave, C, 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 with your pinky. Because you're going to want to, yes, absolutely. You're going to want to become very familiar with those octaves because that really is like, that's how you play a lot of funk, a lot of groove. When we do lead-ins, it'll be like C, and they're hammer-ons and pick-ons. Yeah! So you already got the concept.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll add these structures and these chords we know with like their full chord, so you could get like a Or just something inside of a pocket that you could just work on, change a couple notes here and there. But the foundation is knowing that that's your C major. So those of you at home, try and play this teeter-totter, C major. The reason why I call it teeter-totter, this is a hard one. We're using 4 fingers. Sometimes we only use 2 fingers. If I were to take my first finger from here while playing this, I can also play that C note and C note using 2 other fingers. So the idea is get real comfortable at using your 1 finger and your 3 finger and using your 2 finger and your 4 finger.
That's a stretch.
It is. It is. It is. And I got little bitty hands, so if I can do this, I swear you can do it. Okay. The stretch will change, and you figure out caveats and little ways to work around the things you can't do, and you just keep working at them.
Okay.
So where we are right now is we have spider exercises and teeter-totters. Teeter-totters is explaining how to play that same C major chord. I mean, you're not going to do something like this, like that finger and this finger. That'd be ridiculous. But try and work on all the variations of what you can. And then next week, we're going to put that together with do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Why we would do it in an open phrasing, why we would do it with the second fingering, and why we would omit the first, second, and open frets and do it all with just 1, 3, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5. 3 different ways to play the same scale. And once you learn that one, that's the scale that you use to play in every key. All of them are made out of that scale. So let's not be eluded anymore by major chords. All right. Did you have fun today?
Had fun.
Cheers, dude. All right. Well, work on spider exercises this week. Work on your teeter-totters. Anybody at home that watches this and wants to come along and go on the journey, ask Paul and I some questions. We'll answer them the best way we can. Make sure to keep it kosher. We like to keep this channel clean, and we'll see you back next week. Aloha.
Aloha.
Shoot.
That's cool.
Cool, man.
A lot of info.
It is. And here's the thing. If you take